Testing 1, 2, 3. This will be the May 20th, 2015 City Council regular meeting.
I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is a regular City Council meeting. It's May 20th, 2015 at 7:05. If you would join Mayor or Councilman Breimer in a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance.
If we can have a moment of silence, please. If you join me in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, we have a large crowd here tonight. We have a couple of things on the agenda that council is going to move up. One is item number 6, and the other is item number 7. So, Chief Pearson, we're moving you up for the presentation for the police department.
Perfect.
Where am I going to stand? Next to the microphone,
Yeah,
so Lorraine can hear you.
That's going to be the only chance I have. All right. How's that doing? Good? Okay. Let us start with Bill Spiegelhalter, who was being recognized for 5 years of service. His 5 years of service was a few months ago. He wasn't able to attend when we did our volunteer recognition. We want to make sure that somebody who's as dedicated as Bill gets his due recognition. 5 years with the police department. He's been a major contributor to the volunteer program. Not only do you see him taking pictures and videos, but he's just one of those people that shows up to help even though he wasn't asked to be there. And those are the kind of people that are hard to come by. It's one thing to be a volunteer and come in and work a schedule that says I'm going to do 2 hours a week or 4 hours a week or whatever you sign on and you come in and do it. And that's wonderful. That's great. We have people that do that. But then there's the people that go above and beyond. Those are the people that come in when you don't need them. Those are the people you call at the last second and they show up. Those are the people that just say, I know you're having an event. I'm going to go to it. If you need me, fine. If not, I'm just going to be here to be a participant. And those are the kind of things that are very difficult to come by. And when you find them, you appreciate it and you try not to work them too hard so that they don't feel taken advantage of and then want to go someplace else. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, Bill, everything that you've done and will continue to do, right?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
These young scouters here, that's something for you to look forward to, and the older scouters, too.
Yeah, we have applications. We have applications. Okay. Next, we have what's not on the agenda, but we have I have the distinct pleasure to do a promotion, to do a very, very well-deserved promotion to corporal. And I'd like to have officer and soon-to-be corporal here in a couple of days, Don Tribell, come on up. I want to just tell you a couple quick things about Officer Tribell, Corporal Tribell, here in a couple of days. When he came to us from the business world, and he had already had some experience, already had life experience, and had been very successful in the business world. And he came to us and said, you know, I've always wanted to be a police officer. That's just always my dream. And I'm in a situation now where I can follow my dream. And sometimes you get a little skeptical as an administrator hiring somebody who's wanting to follow a dream. But his interview was outstanding. His background was impeccable. And his dedication that you could just tell during the interview and during the process was great. And I'll tell you what, we could not have picked a better person. And since the time he's been hired, he has been solid. He has been absolutely the kind of person that you go to. He handles working with the younger officers well, and he does everything he's asked and more. He's the person that shows up at calls when he doesn't need to. He's the first person to say, let me take that report that's going to be a half hour and 15 pages, because I know you've been busy and you caught a couple earlier. I mean, just the kind of guy. And just to kind of summarize just how much not only me and Linda and everybody in the command staff appreciates him and feels he's deserving, but there was a letter that was given to me by every single patrol sergeant and a lieutenant in the building that said that we highly recommend Officer Tribell to be promoted to corporal. And when every single supervisor in the building recognizes somebody's outstanding performance and they make that recommendation, how can you go wrong? And for 5 years, he's been outstanding, and now I look forward to him working in a supervisory capacity and running a squad in the absence of a sergeant. And I just can't tell you how proud I am, and I really appreciate you coming to us from the business world, and thank you very much, and we look forward to many years of watching you. Thank you very much, sir. Next, we have the Communications Officer of the Year, Larry Melkonian. Larry Melkonian started as a part-time dispatcher with Satellite Beach Police Department in 1983. 1983. And just for the record, I graduated high school in... No, okay, we won't compare. I know you're going, oh, really? Go ahead, say it. Yeah, say it. I tell you, the kind of things, this is just so, I just have to read this little bit because I don't want to leave anything out, because the role of a dispatcher in a city of this size, when they're working by themselves and have to handle the calls that they handle, of the volume they handle, and do it is impeccably and without mistake, that like he does, is unbelievable. And just to give you a couple ideas of some of the things that he's handled in that dispatch center by himself. He's handled, numerous critical calls, including a child that was choking, a child lost on the beach, numerous suicide attempts, numerous serious car crashes, to include a bicyclist hit by a car, and an intoxicated driver going the wrong way on A1A, causing a 4-vehicle crash. Now, if you can't imagine the amount of call volume that comes in, now just imagine a car's going the wrong way on A1A, the amount of people that see it, all the people in the condos that see it, the amount of 911 calls that are happening, and you have to answer every one. Every 911 call comes in. It doesn't mean that you think it's for that crash. It could be completely unrelated, and you have to answer every call timely. And dispatch the fire department, and dispatch the police department, and keep track of where everybody is, keep all of the times there, and handle all of that, and the people that call up and go, "Hi, can you tell me where Kale Street is? Because and you have to do it all at the same time by yourself. And I don't know that I can say much more about Larry. When you can say somebody that has handled all of those calls by himself and does it with, and doesn't even complain about it, which is amazing. Now, he gives me a couple of suggestions, that's what he calls them occasionally, but he doesn't complain about it. And the last thing that I like to say about Larry is I've known him for a long time, and he was one of the very first people that I got really close to when I started working there in 1987. And we got to talk, and not only is Larry an outstanding employee and a dedicated employee, but he's just a really nice guy and a really good friend. And I'm very proud to say that he's our Communications Officer of the Year. Well deserved.
Okay, thank you very much.
For brevity's sake, I'm not going to read each one of the plaques for you, because they say basically it's what I just said. And there was a little issue with the plaques coming in, but they're going to be here, so that's what they're going to say when they get here.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I greatly
Thank you. Trust me. This is the fun part for me. And last but not least, we have not only our Officer of the Year, but our Hartman Flag Officer of the Year. And it's one and the same. And Officer Anthony Holland is, again, one of those people. And I know it sounds like a broken record when I stand up here, and I got to tell you, it's very difficult to do this in a short period of time, and I know that there's an agenda to do, but it's very difficult because these people are just outstanding people. And I wish that I had the ability verbally in 2 or 3 minutes to convey just how outstanding these people are. It's difficult, and Anthony Holland is just another example. He goes out of his way to help people. He's one of those people that just always is in the right place at the right time. We call him a magnet. There's a word we usually put in front of that, but he's just a magnet, and he is, and he's always in the right place. But because of that, he's got the experience, and he handles things absolutely perfectly. But he handles things, I've seen him talk with children, all the way up to elderly people, all the way to distraught people, to people that are having a great day, and everybody in between. And he just knows how to talk to people and how to get people to understand that he's there to help them, and what can I do to help them. And he just, I can't remember, knock on wood, the last time if I've even gotten a complaint. And he's one of our more, I knocked. No, I knocked. You work tonight? Easy, cowboy. I knocked on wood, though. I was told that if you knock on wood, you're good. And it's just, and when you're the most productive person in virtually every phase, and you do it and you get constant compliments, and I see people on the street and they say what an outstanding job he's doing. I mean, how much better can you do police work than that? I'm not really sure. And really, finally, the only thing I can say that maybe you do better than police work is you're an outstanding father as well. And I'm proud to have you with us. And congratulations. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to item number 7, which is a presentation of a proclamation recognizing May 17th through 23rd, 2015 as Emergency Medical Services Week. So I'm going to read the proclamation. Actually, I don't have it. It's not ready yet, but the proclamation is, whereas emergency medical services provided by Satellite Beach Fire, the fire department, are vital public services, and whereas the members of Satellite Beach Fire Department are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency service dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas the emergency medical services system consists of emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, emergency nurses, emergency physicians, and others, and whereas the members of Satellite Beach Fire Department engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continued education to enhance their life-saving skills, and whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of the emergency medical service providers by designating Emergency Medical Service Week. Now, therefore, I, acting as Frank Catino, Mayor of the City of Satellite Beach, Brevard County, Florida, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 17th through 23rd, 2015, as Emergency Medical Services Week. With the theme, EMS Strong, I encourage the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activity. In witness thereof, I have signed this proclamation and caused the seal of the City of Satellite Beach to be affixed this 20th day of May, 2015. So, Don?
Thank you very much, and I took it like Public Safety Night or something. And for once, I think I actually have a shorter presentation than the police chief. For once. Just real quick, and this is EMS week also, and in line with everything else is going on. Last year, just shy of 1,400 911 calls that we responded to, 780 EMS calls with over 1,400 total patient contacts that we have. And as you guys know, the system has been very good. Last year, we finished last year out with a 60% cardiac arrest survival rate. That 7% is the average number in the country. And the reason this happens is, one, is because we've got people like Larry, dispatcher. And two, the next reason it happens is because we've got police officers that respond. They're part of the system. And number three, you've got a fire department with the best paramedics that are on scene less than 4 minutes. 3.75 minutes, I think, is what our response time was for last year. So what you have is you've got a system that absolutely works. But the thing about EMS is that it's more than just lights and sirens and 911 calls. It's also just how do we care for the community health. And I'd like to do a quick presentation here because I'd like Dr. Joe and Pastor Nickel from Our Father's House and from Satellite Beach United Methodist Church to come up and kind of explain what happened here. So I may have mentioned this to you before, but on April 5th for these Easter sunrise services, the services that were done at Pelican Beach Park, Dr. Joe and at the time approached us and wanted to do the offering to benefit the community paramedic program that we've implemented. This will be their second time they had done this for us, and I assured them, as we did the first time, our donations will go exactly to the program, nothing else. So the year that they did it the first time, it was like $1,500 donation, so to be honest with you, that's kind of what I was expecting. So when I get a check in the mail for $3,191, you know, I was tickled pink. And so what I would like to do real quick is with these two gentlemen, also like for Melanie to come up. And one of our clients that we have, one of our patients that we see on a weekly basis, Dixie Bottoms, I'd like for her to come up also, because at the end of the day, what we want the churches to know that their donation touched a physical person. And we wanted to kind of reference this out here and put it in context here. So, would you like to come down and be part of the picture?
Come here, turn around so they can get a picture of you here.
Okay, my name is Dixie Bottoms, and I moved to Satellite Beach in 1960. I am an ex-dispatcher for Satellite Beach, 22 years. I'm also Indian Harbor number, and I am very grateful for this program that they have brought, as you can see. And if it wasn't for people like you and people like you, the city would not be what it is today. And I love living in Satellite Beach, and I enjoyed my work in the police department. And after I left the police department, I went to Palm Bay, and I worked there 24 years. Time to quit. But I love the visitors that come, the people that give us the money that they have that we can use. It's really helpful. And I love the program. I love seeing her once a week. And she comes, and I also have the bracelet on. So that when anybody I got hurt or something, they can read everything on there or that. And if the fire department, the police department, of course, it's dear to my heart. And the fire department is becoming dear to my heart.
Really? Really? You're out.
Whenever I do anything, the fire department and they come, come and do everything they could to help me. And now, of course, I'm a little bit off keel here with not able to stand like I used to, but I'm still willing to do anything I can for the city of Satellite Beach and fire department and the police department and you guys.
Just to give you guys just real quick the update in what we did with this money. So this, along with a few other donations, turned out that this year about $5,000 of donations have come in for the community paramedic program. And one of the things that we've done with Dixie and all the other clients that we have is that we've outfitted them with wireless blood pressure cuffs, blood sugar monitors, oxygen measurement devices, and things of that nature. And Melanie, each morning, she's able to log in into a dashboard, and she can see all of her clients and see their daily vital signs that day. And she basically, about 12 o'clock, calls them all, partially to make sure they're still with us. And it calls everybody and says, hey, hey, I noticed your blood pressure wasn't taken today. Is everything okay? Or, or we can monitor, or, hey, we see something that's out of whack. I know I'm supposed to be here on Friday, but I'm going to come over here today instead. And the program has such resounding success. The FCC has actually reached out to us and would like us to present in Jacksonville at the end of next month, because we're taking the innovative approach using off-the-shelf technology to be able to work with the community, and this wireless piece ties into what they're doing. And that's just one example of what we've done with it. And the other aspect is Ms. Dixie references her bracelet. Our medics are able to take their phones and tap to it and bring up all of her medical information. So in the case of an emergency, she's unable to speak for herself. We're using technology where we can grab her medical information, her medications, and things of that nature. So that's kind of where we're at. And so it's a lot different than what EMS Week may have been 10 years ago, but who thought that paramedics would be doing what we're doing today. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. You know, I just want to say that, you know, we have the police and the fire department. You guys have done a great job of surrounding yourself with people in your departments that step up, that do things the right way, and are looking out for our community members in ways that, you know, a lot of people couldn't vision. Like you say, 10 years ago, this was something that was, you know, out of the Jetsons. But it's happening today, and, you know, the things that you guys are doing in your department, you continue to surround yourself with good people, and it's to the benefit of all our residents that make that stuff happen. So thank you very much to both of you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would just like to add the comment that it is so gratifying serving on a council of a city that has such outstanding employees. You really make our jobs a lot easier. We really do appreciate all of you.
Here.
We're going to move back to item number 3, which is citizens' comments. And this is a time that's open up for anything that is not an agenda item. You're welcome to step up to the podium and speak. Citizens' comments is open. Hang on a second, Robert. We want to make sure you get. Thank you all for coming. Congratulations, Larry.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Larry, I was kind of wondering why, you know, Jeff's hair is gray and, you know.
What's that?
I was kind of wondering why Jeff's hair is gray and yours isn't.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Take it easy. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, all of you.
Okay, Ron, you're up.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. Ron Dragudis, resident Satellite Beach. It is wonderful to see how employees do things, especially the fire and police, including the volunteers. And I believe there needs to be reciprocation from the council and other staff members here tonight in regards to this, what people do go above and beyond. We have contractual agreements out there. And I start with October, November, December, January, February, March, April, and May. And I believe they add up to 8 months. And I believe there should be a fiduciary duty by this council and staff to have audited financial statements issued prior to the end of the year. I've not stated anything in the past over that. I've kind of let it low. And it's pretty much reached the boiling point where citizens should see this, council should see this, and reassess the auditor's role for this city. I don't think it is fair for anybody to see stagnant financial information. It's 8 months, approaching 9 months. We're going to be in the last quarter, the autumn of the year, and we're working on budgets. Or suppose, not I, staff is working on budgets. I can't comprehend it. If this was private enterprise at minimum, there would be some discussion as to what is going on. Additionally, I want to thank the city manager for bringing out the information that's going through the legislature. However, it's to be desired what the newspapers are publishing in regards to that, but I will pass that up. I do have an issue with a non-action item. It's called resiliency. We're going to have one meeting. And I believe I can comment on that because it's not an action item. I have an issue with that, is that hopefully everyone's going to think forward that it is going to be more than one meeting. Many more meetings. This is key to the city. And that's all I have to say about that. But I see the citizens here tonight who are reaching out, and financial data is important. And I'm proposing tonight that perhaps there should be somewhere in the charter or policies and procedures, wherever it should be, that audited financial statements be issued by a time certain date. Thank you.
Thank you. Citizens' comments are still open. Hearing no one else, we will close citizens' comments and move on to council comments. Steve, would you like to start?
Sure. Back on May 9th, I attended the Pelican Beach cleanup there with Ethan Shoda. Seems to be a well-attended thing out there. Sometimes it still amazes me that every month that you go out there, there's still so much to clean up on our beaches. It's amazing. Was out there also with Vice Mayor Montero was out there doing the cleanup. It was very good, though. Also, I attended the Ashland Harris send-off last night. I thought that went great. It was really great to see all the young kids, the young girls, all the soccer players that were out there. Ashland was more than gracious to stay, I think, until no one else wanted to talk to her. So it was really great. It was really great to see her. I had the pleasure. My son actually went to school with her, graduated with her, and he had nothing but kind words to say about her and how well she's done. So I'm sure her parents are very proud, as we are in the city. Also, on May 12th, I attended the National Space Club meeting that they had up in Cape Canaveral, and KSC Director Cabana was there. Gave a very good presentation on kind of how KSC is evolving into what's called a multi-user spaceport. Basically what that means for most people out here is a lot more jobs, a lot more opportunity, and things are slowly starting to rebound back from the shuttle days, which is a good thing. But you get a very good presentation up there. It's very well attended by not just NASA and the Air Force, but a lot of our political folks are up there, and a lot of people pushing forward to keep getting that going in that direction, and again, trying to get more jobs, get more hiring going on out there. So it was really great. It was very interesting to do, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Al. Just one thing, I attended Ashland Harris's event last night, and not to belabor what Steve just talked about, but Courtney, nice job by rec staff and getting that all together and pulling that together. That was very well done. It was nice to see the media show up for that, and it just came across very well. So thank you to you and your staff for the way it came across. That's all I have, though.
Congratulations to John Baker for the terrific article in Florida Today. You cannot find more of a gentleman than you find in Mr. Baker. And I'm wondering, since he has been killing those pepper trees since about 1991, I wonder if the city has ever done anything to recognize him or thank him.
I don't know.
My guess would be no. And so I'd like to see the city give him a plaque and present it to him at one of our council meetings here. That's a substantial contribution, and he hasn't slowed down, which is terrific.
At 91.
Yeah.
As you can see, I'm having a lot of trouble with the system, and I'm asking, please, let's get this thing fixed. We were sold some junk, and it's a temperamental system. It cuts in and out, Adam, in and out, in and out. And can we please get a decent system in here? I attended the South Beaches Coalition meeting, and fortunately our city manager came with me and helped to shake things up a little bit, and they definitely they definitely needed to be shaken up, and what we're going to try to do is to start having the city managers participate in those meetings to try to help move projects along, and the coalition representatives, the elected officials that are on the coalition now, really do not understand the system for funding for transportation projects, and Ms. Barker can be a tremendous help with that. And one of the things that we did, Ms. Barker is our representative on the TAC, which is part of the operation of the TPO, Transportation Planning Organization. And so we kind of had the meeting dates for the coalition backwards. And so the TAC meets on the Monday before the Thursday TPO meeting. So we've changed the coalition meeting to meet the same afternoon that TAC meets, so that Ms. Barker can provide us with the latest information that's going to be going to the TPO at their next meeting. We had it just in reverse. And I have a question for Attorney Beadle. We may need to look this up. The interlocal agreement that we have between the 4 municipalities that comprise the coalition specifies that the appointees to the coalition must be elected members from the 4 cities. And if the designated representative can't make a meeting, then another elected official from that city may substitute for them as an alternate at a coalition meeting. We have quorum problems, and so my question is, would it be possible for the interlocal agreement to be amended so that city managers from those municipalities could sit in as an alternate at coalition meetings? I don't expect an answer to right away, but if you could check on that. If we could do that, then that would solve the quorum issue. That's all. Thank you.
On the 7th of May, I attended the city's National Day of Prayer event that's hosted by Our Father's House, United Methodist Church, Oceanside Community Church here in Satellite Beach, and Trinity Presbyterian, and it was a great event. I also, along with Steve, was at the beach cleanup, and Ethan showed that, he's 12 years old now. He does a great job getting people to the beach every month, and it was a good day. I attended the Space Coast League of Cities meeting on the 11th, and last night at the Ashland Harris event, on behalf of the mayor, I welcomed everyone there and introduced Ashland, and I was surprised that there were that many people there. It was really a great turnout. The park was packed. Parking spaces were not available, and it was a great turnout by Satellite Beach to see one of their own off to probably will be a lifetime memory that she will never forget, and we will probably be following her thinking the same thing as we watch her on TV. So it was a great event. And I would be remiss if I didn't recognize the Boy Scouts who are sitting here, at our council meeting. So, you saw what happened with the police and fire departments, and if those are going to be role models for you, you got big shoes to fill, but you look like you can do it. So, congratulations and thank you for coming. Okay, city manager.
All right. I'll start out by letting everyone know that our Police Athletic League is holding their mini Bunko night on May 30th, 2015 at the Teen Zone. This is an adults-only game night. So if you want to participate in that, the cost is $15 for advance tickets and $20 at the door. And the event will benefit the PAL program. On informational items, I did want to inform council that on April 23rd, the school board requested from the county commission that a recommendation from the county's impact fee consultant Tyndale Oliver to create a single impact fee district for schools be implemented. So basically right now we have school impact fees. They're approximately around $4,000 per home. So when a developer builds a single-family unit as part of a new construction, not a redevelopment scenario, but a new construction, if it's, as long as it's not a 65 and older residence, the developer is required to pay this impact fee. Impact fees can only be used for new capacity, meaning new student stations, like adding on to a school or building a new school. The school board needs 2 new schools. They need one in Viera and one in West Melbourne. And when you sit and work with the school board as much as I do, you would realize that they actually really do need those schools. There's definitely issues there, and we're a very long county, so it's difficult to redistrict in those areas because you literally would have to redistrict the whole county. So even though we have capacity for schools in like Titusville, we can't move that capacity down to West Melbourne. So what they want to do is, or they wanted to do, was to create one single impact fee district. Right now we have 4. And that impact fee district basically allows you to follow the law of impact fees, which is basically whenever a local government charges a fee, you have to, there must be a rational nexus between the fee being charged and the benefit that the person paying the fee is going to get. So the single district school, the school impact fee single district idea was very concerning to most of the cities because we didn't feel there was a real legal basis there. Because it's very difficult for somebody in Merritt Island to pay a $4,000 impact fee and experience any benefit from that if it's all being used for West Melbourne. So what we did was we all met we met on May 14th, the school board impact fee committee, which I'm part of. We all met and we actually came up with a recommendation to create 2 districts instead of 1 to help them get their schools, but still have some rational nexus between the fees being charged. And then to do that, for them to get the amount of money they need for the new school, we recommended a fee increase to around $6,000. So that recommendation's being tightened up right now with data, and then we'll be meeting again as a group to approve that. But in between that, we will bring it to council to see if that's something you all would agree to, and then we will take those recommendations back to the county. Okay? So if you have any questions on that or any concerns between now and then, just give me a call. I did include in my packet or my report and a summary of legislative bills that have passed. Of course, they haven't been signed by the governor, but they passed the House and the Senate. I did omit bills that really didn't have any impact on the city. And if you want that entire list, I can certainly provide that to you. One of the most important bills is the pension bill, and that a larger summary was provided to you so you get a better idea of what that bill is. I wanted to let you know that the Florida League of Cities is holding an institute for elected municipal officials on June 5th through the 7th. I know that's kind of coming around right around the corner, but if any of you have an interest in attending that, let us know. We will be holding an open house community meeting for our community resilience project on June 9th at 6 p.m. at the Civic Center. And at this meeting, the purpose of that meeting is to show the results of the survey to the community. So that's kind of going to be like an open house structure, so be very informal and basically have big boards out that show the survey results. I did receive a thank you note. Oh, I'm sorry, just to go back to answer a previous question that was brought up. That is not going to be the last meeting for this project. There's going to be many more meetings in front of council particularly. So I just want to make sure you understood that. So this meeting isn't the last one. It's just a community meeting to disclose the results of the survey. And then after that, we'll be scheduling the public hearings in front of CPAB and council. I received a thank you note for the building and zoning and police departments, which are attached. And I wanted to make sure everyone knew that the last day of school is Monday, June 1st, so please be mindful of that while children are out playing. We also will be observing our 21-day salute to the flag Sunday, June 14th, 2015, Flag Day, through Saturday, July 4th, which is Independence Day. The 53 flags are raised at 7:30 in the morning and retired at 5:30 in the afternoon for 21 days in front of the Scotty Colt Municipal Complex. And the call goes out again for volunteers. The VFW will be organizing that this year, so you can contact Color Guard Commander Dick Plank, and his number is in my packet. Or you can call us and we will provide that to you. I have 2 action items tonight. The first is I have been elected as the president of the Space Coast Public Managers Association for this year. And since this position has a seat on the board for the Space Coast League of Cities, I can no longer serve as the alternate for the city. So we will need to appoint an alternate, and Vice Mayor Montanaro cannot serve as the alternate because he's actually on the board too as the treasurer. So we're taking over the League of Cities slowly. But so I need you all to do that this evening if possible.
It's open to, either of you if you're interested in it.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. Okay, we need a motion.
Yes.
I'll nominate Steve to fill that position.
So we have a motion by Councilman Breimer, a second by Councilwoman Gott, to appoint Councilman Steve Osmer as the alternate to the Space Coast League of Cities for Satellite Beach. Lenore?
Since this is an action item, did you
Want to
want
make it
to
for public comment?
retain public comment?
Any public comment on this item? Thank you. Hearing no comment, Lenore?
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gott?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes. That puts us with 4 seats, or 4 people that actually are
Thank you, Steve.
sitting on the, that would, I think Satellite Beach would have 4 people sitting on the Space Coast League of Cities board, which is probably something other cities haven't had. For a small city, it speaks volumes. Okay, next.
We are recommending canceling the June 3rd, 2015 meeting for summer break. That we've done that in previous years so we can work on budget. So to do that, though, we need you to move the CRA board meeting and the board interview workshop to June 17th. I put June 20th, but I got a couple emails of people asking me why I was moving council meetings to Saturday. So I realized I had the wrong date. So it's June 17th.
Is that by consensus?
That's by consensus. Are we okay with that?
It's good with me.
By consensus, we're going to move the June meeting and cancel the June 3rd meeting. Okay.
Sounds good.
Any other questions of Courtney?
No.
I did mention to Councilman Osmer, the emo school is also being offered in October. And I did emo 1 and the emo 2, and I think it's really a great program. It gives you a lot of insight into how municipalities operate, and it's a great program put on by the Florida League of Cities. So if you can make that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna
short now.
look to schedule the one in October.
Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 8. Which is discuss and take action on establishing an ad hoc green committee. Courtney.
Thank you. We've had some series of community meetings regarding our infrastructure, and at one of those meetings, we had a resident that brought up the idea of establishing a green committee, and by green, she meant sustainability. And luckily, in that meeting, we also had resident Jeff Chasteen, and I'm going to ask him to come up here. I know it's kind of unusual to ask a resident to present your item, but he's got a vision for this green committee, and I think, hearing him talk about it is probably a lot better than me. So,
welcome.
Thank you very much.
Just state your name for the record, please.
Oh, forgive me, Jeff Chasteen. Thanks very much for hearing me. I wanted to say also, like so many other people said tonight, I am just so My wife and I moved here in 2010, and I am just so glad and grateful to live here in this city and to be raising my voice here. And honest to goodness, every day I have at least one occasion to wish that I had grown up here in Satellite Beach rather than over in St. Petersburg. But anyway, my idea for, for this, and not having any experience in this sort of thing or anything like that, my idea for this is that we have something in the city to, provide impetus and direction on, various types of environmental projects. So we're not glued to any one particular thing in the city that we're obligated to work on. But to provide that, I don't think that any of the current boards or committees, have strictly a sustainability focus and, and the opportunity to work on anything they want across the city. Also, I think, and talking with Ms. Barker too, I think, we could put together something that could, help advise the city of Satellite Beach on on implementing, an environmental plan, in the future as well. So, what we're talking about is a group of 5 people, a committee of 5 people, and again, on Ms. Barker's recommendation, 5, I guess, help solve, voting problems. But and these are the things that we've come up with in terms of what sort of people we need. And these are really more, roles and skill sets than anything else. But I think we need a person with some good strengths in communications, public outreach, just somebody that's willing and able to, door knock and make phone calls and get ourselves, in the projects that we do, get our projects in front of residents and business owners and, whoever we need to get involved. Somebody that's really good with research, a lot of the things, for example, the stormwater projects and stuff like that. That's what really prompted me to start thinking about this anyway. And kind of the idea of following a program that I read about and have looked into and talked with them now up in Delaware called the Livable Lawns Program, where they certify contractors, landscaping and irrigation and fertilizer and contractors like that as, as complying with all of their stated regulations and everything. And then they promote those contractors, and help them, land new business in the area. So I think we have somebody that can help us do that. Somebody that's really strong on environmental science, and all of us know a little bit about that, and some of us, more, but I think we need one person that is really, really knowledgeable about that sort of thing. And I think it'd be wise to get one person on the committee that actually, let's say, is in the landscape contracting business or something like that, so have a, a good connection to likely objections that we might run into with different types of projects we might implement. And we need one person, I think, that can, be in the field and lead and delegate on the projects themselves. And so that's what I'm proposing.
And just to add to that, what we would like to do is have the committee work on any initiatives that would include energy consumption and reduction, reducing the city's carbon footprint, environmental programs and events that promote environmental awareness and solutions, stormwater projects and healthy lagoon efforts, community resiliency and disaster recovery, low-impact development and green building techniques, and public access and preservation. So those are some of just kind of like the categories. You know how we always have to do that in government, categorize everything. So we can, so they have kind of a directive. And then the good thing is I had a lot of interest from some local talent here, kids, on summer break between college or either between high school and going to college. And I have 3 interns this summer that are willing to help this Green Committee get off on a good start. So they have a good level of staff support for their initial 3 months. So I think that would help them quite a bit.
Jeff, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there any questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Jeff, I think when we, or Courtney, whoever wants to field this, I think when you originally presented this concept, one of the things that I'd thrown out there is could we some way partner with Indian Harbor Beach or whatever the case may be? I didn't know if you guys had kicked that around.
Yep. I'm sorry, I should have included that. I did contact Indian Harbor Beach, and they're going to present the idea to their council on June 9th. So by the time we come back to you on June 20th, we'll, with the applicants, we'll be able to let you know whether or not they want to participate.
Great.
And I think I told them there's 2 levels of participation, basically either members on the committee or just participate in the projects. So if they have, like if we come up with a project, did they want to participate in some of those? So they're going to discuss that on June 9th.
Good.
Yeah, I think that works. Honestly, I think that works better because then, you might get no to some things and yes to other things, whereas, if we expect them to join us 100%, it's sort of like asking them to say yes to everything that we want to do as well, rather than joining us on a particular initiative or project.
Nice work, thank you.
Thank you.
Steve?
I would just comment as, I know that at the Cape and Kenny Space Center, I know a lot of the new buildings and stuff that come out, they all try to go for that gold standard, gold green standard, and they look at that. That may be something to keep in mind and have reference material like that. So when we do have a new business or someone coming in here to build or remodel or whatever, that we could be an advisory group to say, hey, these are some of those things available to make you a gold green type facility. I know that's really pretty thin. There's a lot of grants that go along with that if you want to be, I think it's almost like a LEED. I think it's like a LED.
Yeah, it's called LEED certification.
Yeah, so I mean, that may be something that we become a resource for that, if nothing else. I mean, we could always have that as our own project should we build something, but it would be something for local businesses who are going to come in again and remodel, or a new business going to build something, that we would have that expertise, so to speak, to offer that and say, hey, if you're going to do this, here's what you could do to be more environmental friendly. I think that would just be something to have to add to that.
I think a big part of being successful here is going to have to do with really without outreach and getting people interested. Because almost everybody I know has something to say about an environmental issue somewhere. And if you have 10 good ideas, I think you can get most anybody to commit to trying just one.
I agree.
Lorraine, did you have anything you wanted to say? Courtney, I just have one thing. If we get through our process, we pick our people, and we find out on that date that Indian Harbor does want to participate, and they do want to have people on here, would we consider 7 members on this board?
That's what I was thinking,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, Jeff, thank you very much.
Thank you,
Sounds
Jeff.
like we're on board. I mean, we don't
Consensus to move forward?
consensus to move forward?
I'm good with it. Press
You okay
on.
with consensus to move forward?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Jeff, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item number,
Before you do that, can you pause for a moment? Lenore, do you have any more of these headsets over there that I could try?
I've been listening and I'm
I'm not doing anything sitting here, and this thing cuts in and out.
can you hear? 1, 2, 3.
Good?
You can hear, okay. All right. Item number 9, discuss, take action on ordinance number 1105, an ordinance of the City of Satellite Beach, Brevard County, Florida, amending the FY 2014-2015 budget ordinance number 1096, providing an effective date, first reading. I'm sorry I read that, Jim. I wasn't supposed to read that.
That's fine.
You were supposed to read that.
You wrote it. Beetle needs the job, so don't do that too often.
I know, I can't keep doing that. Courtney?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm going to ask Andy to go ahead and start his presentation.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. As we do every year, what's before you this evening is the mid-year budget amendment. What this does is it helps capture anything. We're 6 months into the fiscal year. This report shows that we're 6 months, we're a little bit more than 6 months, but we've got to wait till the 6 months complete before we can have the actual numbers. So this is a 6-month snapshot of the city's fiscal year. And what we do at mid-year is we go through these and basically make any adjustments that needs necessary, and we amend the budget. So what you have before is the mid-year budget amendment for 14-15. I'll do a brief presentation and kind of go over some of the highlights of the mid-year, things that have changed since we adopted the budget in October of 2014, things that we'll need to just tweak a little bit that have changed since we've adopted the budget. Go ahead, Jimmy. Just to give a basic summary, the general fund budget for the mid-year revenue projections are $9,903,206. That's going to be the overall amount of the general fund. When we adopted the budget was $9,653,086, so the revenues have increased by around $300,000, and I'll go through the next slides where the increase comes from. And then the expenditures, of course, you have to have a balanced budget, so the revenues have to equal expenditures, and that's the same amount, $9.9 million. Some of the highlights of the general fund revenue section: the ad valorem taxes, which is a large portion of our revenue for the general fund, approximately half of the revenue for the general fund. In the past several years, we've kind of had to figure out what's going on with the projections. We finally got those to where we do the calculation, and those are the numbers for the ad valorem tax, so we don't have to make any adjustments to that. And moving forward, we don't see us making any adjustments in the future as well. So we plan to collect the $5.6 million. The franchise fee section of the budget that you'll see on page 33 of your amendment, there was an increase in revenues of $39,000. One of the reasons why is we saw the building permits over the past 6 months and even last year have increased, so we increased our mid-year budget. We expect to bring in $15,000 more in revenues for the building permits. And then electricity franchise fees, we expect to bring in about $24,000 more than we budgeted at the beginning of the year. Intergovernmental revenues, there was an increase of $6,000. It's a relatively small amount when you're talking about an $11 million budget. Charges for services. Charges for services are things such as what we charge for rentals, fire inspection fees, skate park fees. Those are the charges for services, and those increased by approximately $17,000. And a lot of that has to do with we started getting some of our programs back at the recreation center, so that increases the amount of money that comes through the door there. Miscellaneous revenues, this just captures various revenues that can't really be categorized. Our interest on investments and things of that nature, a decrease by about $638, relatively minor. And then other revenue sources increased by $187,000. Now, you may think that's a large number. However, the majority of that increase is from the donation that we're going to move into the budget and then turn around and transfer to the CRA to help fund the Shell Street project. So that came from the Women's Club. That was money that was sitting in the general fund, sort of in the bank, but we've got to show that we're bringing it into the budget because we plan on starting and spending that money before the end of the fiscal year. So that represents a large part of that revenue. So that's sort of where you get the large increase in revenues. It wasn't that we budgeted incorrectly, it's just we had some things that have changed, a large donation, and that's what increased the revenues, and therefore will increase the expenditures the same. Next slide. Just to talk about some changes in the general fund expenditures that you look at that may jump out to you. There was an increase in the legislative budget, which is a relatively small budget. The legislative budget is sort of council expenses, and that's been averaging about $11,300 a year for that department. There was an expense of, basically it shows that in the tuition memberships and publications that you were $2,300 over, and you were only 6 months into the year, but $2,500 of that is actually the economic development membership that the council approved to vote on to fund $2,500. So next year we'll probably move that expense and we'll charge it to the general governmental services, so it'll even come out of just a place to charge that expense to. All departments, most of the departments, the city departments, city clerk's office, support services, police, fire, for the most part, everybody was within their budgets. There was if you look at the overall amount in each of the departments, under the general fund, you'll see that some of the departments were slightly over, and that was really due to the holiday pay that was implemented in December, and now we come in and amend our budget to reflect the vote by the city council. The General Governmental Services Fund, which is not really a department, it kind of captures the health insurances, and it captures the city's liability insurances, a lot of other, the attorneys in that department. Just various expenses, that was increased by $10,000, not about a big number there. And then the interfund transfers, there was an increase of $160,000, and that's because we had to bring the money into the general fund and transfer for the Women's Club donation, transfer it to the CRA. So when you get to the CRA budget, you'll see an increase of $160,000 going into the CRA budget. So in summary, there's really no major changes to the operating budgets within departments as compared to what we adopted. Revenues and expenditures are overall in line with the adopted budget. Revenues and expenses that were budgeted in 14 really resulted in only minor changes. So what you see before you, I mean, you're talking a $12 million budget, and you get line items that are off by $600. I mean, that's just us trying to be spot on as we can. And then we're going to continue to refund the reserves in the general fund of $173,000 as we anticipated in 14-15. So we're within our budget. We're still going to be able to fund the city's reserves, project to do that. Of course, you'll see in the next 6 months, we got another 6 months to go in this fiscal year. Real quick, Community Services Fund met expectations, no major changes. The Stormwater Fund meets the expectations. We are able to fund $62,000 still in stormwater maintenance and repairs, so there's some pipes and things. I know Alan's going to spend that money to stay up with repairs and maintenance and stormwater. There was no changes in the Law Enforcement Trust Fund. The Community Redevelopment Agency Trust Fund shows an increase of $213,000. A lot of that is the additional $149,000 coming from the Women's Club again. And the Capital Assets Fund, there was an increase of $83,000, and a lot of these are amendments that we've done for the past 6 months that now we actually capture in the budget. One was the City Exchange Server with Artemis, the $28,000 that you'll see in annual street repaving. There was nothing budgeted for that, but we started the engineering for Roosevelt, the resurfacing, and some other projects. So we charged that to that line item, but when we receive the loan, we'll get reimbursed for those expenses, so that's sort of a wash. And then in the administrative computer and software, there was an $8,000 increase, and that was for the council chambers audio equipment. We'll get on that. The public works equipment, we recently purchased a light tower, and half of that cost will be offset by a grant we received from our insurance company. So you'll have a $5,000 offsetting revenue. So that is basically the amendment in a nutshell. The only really major change was the Women's Club money that we needed to account for and some of those smaller items that we've approved over the past 6 months. That's all I have.
Thank you, Andy. Any questions of Andy from council? Lorraine, do you have any questions?
Do you want a motion at this time, or you want to wait until public comment?
You can make a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 1105 on first reading.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Breimer and a second by Councilwoman Gott. At this time, I'll open up agenda item number 9 for public comment.
Ron Dragudis, resident Satellite Beach. I beg that the previous action item be opened, and it can be opened at a later date, since this was an action item also that is open to public comment. No. No to the amendment. No to the amendment because we do not have audited financial statements issued yet for the prior year, and we have actuals there that are presented for 13-14. What does actual mean? Is it audited? Is it reconciled with the audited statements? Do we have a reconciliation that takes it from GAAP to the budget? These are the things that should be asked here. Staff is doing a job here. However, there should be additional direction here. And I am ashamed to say here that the Women's Club is forfeiting money for a project that I remember way back when that this was going to be utilized for multiple beach accesses. And we are putting monies in reserves. And we supposedly have additional monies in the CRA. What funds are going to be used on the A1A project? That woman's money would be for emergencies. And those ladies would present that money if there was a storm, if there was anything that happened. And I don't agree with that. They should be reimbursed. And no, because we do not have our financial statements. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Hearing no other comments,
Can we clear up the misstatements?
be my guest.
Well, we want to address them to include the fact that the Women's Club has approved this use of their funds.
Yes, the Women's Club had voted, and we had them come to a council meeting, and they were here to say, you know, they were happy to donate the funds for this project, and they were excited about it. They wanted their funds to be spent on a beach project. So that was something that they actually wanted to do. So it's a donation. And I didn't understand the rest of the statement, so I don't know.
Council had some discussions about recognizing that donation at the time the project's completed. So I mean, it was thoroughly vented at that council meeting.
Well, we actually have an agreement that they signed donating the money to the city for that purpose, and part of that agreement is their recognition as well. So.
Exactly. And actually, I think Councilman Breimer was the one that brought up the fact that we probably need to have something in signage on that property after it's completed, the same way that we had signage on the Pelican Beach property that the Satellite Beach Women's Club had donated that property to the south of the park. So
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you. All right, Lenore, would you call the vote?
Sure. Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gott?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes. Passes unanimously. Okay, we'll move on to item number 10, approve a budget calendar for FY 15-16. Courtney?
Yes, we're presenting the budget calendar. We did have one request for a change for the special council meeting on Wednesday, July 22nd. We were hoping that you would be okay with changing that to Thursday, July 23rd, if that's okay with everyone.
Okay with
Everybody
me.
okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Need a motion on this?
Well, we need a motion to adopt the budget calendar.
Yeah.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilman Breimer. We need a second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Osmer to approve the budget calendar for FY 15-16 as amended. Is any public comment?
Ron Jagutis, resident Satellite Beach. No.
Thank you.
And the reason being no, again, I will state, the audited financial statements are not issued yet. And I propose that there be a policy or procedure put in for council or in the charter that no items move forward for budgeting until the audited statements are released. And I think it's critical. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just follow up? That way I can just answer. It was my last slide that I had, sorry. Listen, the audit will be presented to the council on June 17th. And basically, there's a state law that we have to present the audit to the council before June 30th. And we'll send, after the 17th, we'll send the audit to the, basically, Auditor General's office, the AFR statement.
And that's pretty much how we do it every year.
I mean, you have until June 30th to present the audit. So there was really, really the only reason was ADP, and we wanted to, with the change in staff, we wanted to make sure that it's a little later than normal. Next year, we anticipate having a little earlier, but we just want to be able to meet the deadline.
Do I get to respond to that?
Actually, I think he answered your question.
No.
Well, you said no already.
No, I'm responding to your question to me.
What was my question to you?
You stated to me that it answers your question. It does not answer my question.
I think you said what you needed to say, and you were done, and he just was making a statement. Say what you would like to say.
No.
Thank you. Okay. So we have a motion to approve the budget calendar for 14-15.
To close public comment.
To close public comment. Lenore?
Wait. I think she had something to say, Don. She was standing up.
No, don't bother, don't bother.
Thank you.
Okay.
Councilwoman Gott?
Yes?
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to agenda item number 11. Discuss and provide direction on a request for qualifications for an RFP for bond counsel. Courtney?
Andy, did you want to present this item?
Yeah, it's fine. What's before you this evening is an RFQ 1415-07. As we know, we've increased the utility tax from 6 to 10% to take on various capital projects. In the process of going out for an RFP, our city's financial advisor for the process, Public Financial Management Group, just requested us to bring on a bond counsel that is familiar with tax-exempt bonds that would represent the city in the issuance of this bond. It is such a large amount of money that the cost to bring on somebody to do that is well worth it in the end. So we wanted to do this and go through this loan process correctly. So this would be the correct way to do it and the professional way to do it. So what's before you is an RFQ to see what's out there for bond counsel. And the RFQ talks about the qualifications of the bond counsel, have previous experience. There's 4 sections in the RFQ. On page 1, the proposed principal bond counsel attorney would be working on this engagement along with key support lawyers and staff, provide their bios, a summary of their background of the firm, proposed bond counsel fees, and then also 3 municipal references. So basically we'll provide us a letter, and then the committee will consist of myself, the city attorney, and the city's comptroller, that we bring back the recommendation of, after we receive the proposals, we'll bring back the recommendation of who we feel is best to the city council. So that's basically all we're doing, is getting permission to put out an RFQ to bring on bond counsel so we can proceed forward with the $2.5 million loan.
Mr. Chairman, if they'll change city commission to city council, then I move to request to approve the request for qualifications for bond counsel, RFQ number 1415-07.
Have a motion by Councilwoman Gott.
Second.
And a second by Councilman Osmer to
I just got one
request
thing.
the qualifications.
I got one thing.
Go ahead.
Courtney or Andy, either one, under proposal binding, the last sentence in that paragraph, please assume that the review process is expected to include a conference call and Q&A sessions of the shortlisted firms with the city selection team the morning of Tuesday, June 9th. You would advertise that meeting, is that correct? I mean, do we need to put that language in here, or will that meet, in other words, if the public wanted to attend that thing, they obviously...
Yeah, we would advertise.
Yeah, it would be publicly
Okay,
advertised.
I mean, do we need that language in here, or you guys just got that taken care of? I mean, that's the only thing I saw.
Lenore would advertise, she's on to,
And
yeah.
then legal ad,
Okay, that's fine. I'm good then.
pre-bid meeting, if you will.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, at this time, I'll open up this item for public comment.
Ron Dragutis, resident Satellite Beach. There's Section A in the RFQ. Can somebody define to me what would be a definition of minor irregularities?
I'm sure we can find that answer for you. If we don't have it now, you can get with Courtney and she'll get you an answer.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, minor irregularities can be any number of things, and it would refer to minor things that do not change the substantive nature of this document.
Thank you. Does that answer your question?
No.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment?
Dale Abrams, resident of the CRA. Does anyone have any idea what this is going to cost? And is this cost going to be built in to the note? And the other question is, I don't understand why we didn't know this when we hired PFM. I don't understand why PFM doesn't have these people on board. Isn't that what their company is all about? Is going out and borrowing money from municipalities and putting loan packages together? They don't have the staff on board, legal staff, to handle this sort of thing? I know it's a big company. I did some research on it, and I would think that they would have their own staff on board to do this. So if they do have their own staff on board, then I could see where we would have to pay extra as far as the legal stuff is concerned. And I want to make sure I understand this. Are we going out for a loan, or are we going to float some bonds? Because my understanding is that $2.5 million is really not enough money to do bonds, and that's why we were doing loans. So maybe you can clarify that for me. The other thing I want to say, too, is this is a very serious situation here. And I hope that all you council members are looking at this very, very closely. Because once you get into a mortgage, you know what it's like. You've all bought homes, okay? This is a lot of money, and it's a huge commitment for the community, okay? So, make sure you read everything and you understand what we're signing off on. As I said in the past, no credit default swaps, please.
Where do we start? When we hired public finance management, their expertise is finance. So they provide us with the expertise on what to get, whether it's a loan or a bond. $2.5 million, although is unusual for a bond amount, is not it's not impossible. So they would be looking at that as well. Bond counsel is just the term bond counsel. Bond counsel basically means an attorney that's an expert in finance, legal finance. So you could get a bond counsel to assist you with a loan as well. So you would want an attorney to review the terms of a loan and all of the documents that come with that from a legal perspective. So that is the city being careful and moving forward with the $2.5 million loan, is that you want to have that expertise both from the finance side and from the legal side. When we went through the process of hiring PFM, we knew that we were probably going to start on the process of getting bond counsel. It's just that, we don't do everything at once. We try to create processes, and this is part of the process.
Thank you. Any other public comments? This time, I'm going to close public comments. Laura, call for a vote.
Okay, Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman Gott? Yes. Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes. Okay, item number 12, which is discuss and take action on an agreement to engage Ferris Medical Center and their consultant team to conduct a feasibility analysis for the establishment of an employee health clinic. Courtney.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. This is the product of some months of meetings with what we're now calling the Coalition, which is a group of cities on the beach side, which includes Melbourne Beach, Indian Atlantic, Indian Harbor Beach, Satellite Beach, and Cocoa Beach. basically, we have been struggling with healthcare costs. As you know, my first year here, we were given a 15% increase by Health First. We had to go out to bid and actually do some plan reductions with our employees to settle on an 8% increase. This past year, we kind of we were lucky to get Daring Group, by the way, to help us through these processes, and they were able to settle on a 5% increase this past year, which is very unusual, actually. Some of these increases that cities are experiencing are more of an 8 to 11% increase every year. So we're wanting to get a handle on that. And part of that is we're looking at a model that was implemented in Titusville. Mark Ryan, who was the former city manager of Titusville, now the city manager for Indian Harbor Beach, was very instrumental in creating their clinic up there. And so when he began his position with Indian Harbor Beach, he arranged for an exploratory meeting with the rest of the cities on the beach side to start talking about combining our employees into a joint health clinic. We need about 450 to 500 plan members. We call them covered lives in the world of healthcare, to make a health clinic feasible. And we come literally just to that number with our partners. So when we started that discussion, we started that discussion with Parish Medical Center in Titusville. We felt that they were a good partner, largely because they're a public hospital, and they have a very strong sense of community. So they do a lot of things that may not be in their best interest, but in the community's best interest, and they have a very long history of doing that. So we felt that they would be a great partner to start this project. So we began the process of talking through some of the items, and Parish Medical Center has offered one of their consultants, Mercer Inc., to create a feasibility study, both for each individual city as well as the whole, to do two things. One is to look at the city's basically, I guess you could formula, what we would need to do to become partially self-insured. Part of the savings that you get with the health clinic is both the health clinic and reducing your claims. So you create this health clinic to start reducing the claims for people's general physicians. So you start reducing those claims, and at the same time you become partially self-insured, which basically we take on those claims. And so we would create kind of like a trust, which we would pay the claims out of. And we call it partially self-insured because we would go out to RFP for a third-party administrator. And Cigna is Titusville's third-party administrator. So they would process the claims for you for your regular plan. You still have your regular plan, so people still can go to the hospital and get x-rays and things like that. And they can still use another general physician if they wanted to. They would just pay a copay. And then you also would carry stop-loss insurance. So that means that we would have an aggregate claim total, meaning like we would say, okay, the city is not going to go over $500,000 in claims for that year, whether in one claim or total. And after that, if we hit that number, then stop-loss insurance would take over those claims. So we would pay a bill for stop-loss insurance, a third-party administrator, and the clinic. And then we would have a trust fund, which we would pay our claims out of, okay? To give you an idea of what the savings, or actually, let me go over the cost real quick for the clinic. We had, Parish Medical created a pro forma, which is in your packet, of the cost of the clinic. And part of the idea that we came up with was to locate the clinic at the Schechter Center and take up a portion of the teen zone, which is great for us because many of our employees live here in the city. So we would benefit greatly from that. from a location standpoint. We're also in the middle of all of the other cities, so they like that too. And since we own the Schechter Center and we would be getting the benefit of it, there would be no lease payments. So we would be basically reducing the cost for everyone. But we do have to outfit the clinic, so we would have to build it out. And that cost, they would amortize that cost over a period of whatever the agreement is, and in this, we assumed 5 years. We assumed a $300,000 build-out and a 5-year amortization. And so that's included in here. So what we did was we took the total cost of the doctor clinic. Basically, there's two models here, one with a physician and then one with a nurse practitioner. We took the cost of the model with the physician, and we calculated the cost for each covered life of each city. So our covered lives would basically, since we have on our plan 152 members, our cost would be $172,650 a year. Okay? To give you an idea of how this saves us money, and I just want to clarify, we will save money initially, but then we're not ever going to save money annually until the actual cost of healthcare itself start going down, and we don't control that. That's beyond our control. But what we want to do is reduce the percentage that it increases every year. So here, this is Titusville's model. You see the first in 07, 08, 08, 09, and all the way up to 10, 11. That is their actual fully insured amount that they paid, okay? And those are the increases that they went up. And then they started the clinic in 09, 10, and those are the costs of their total health plan from then on. The projected fully insured means that, they just started projecting a 5% increase, so you could see what it would have cost them if they kept a fully insured plan. And they used a 5% increase. So it's probably a lot more. When I was there, we struggled with like an 8 or a 9% increase every year. So that 5% is probably an underestimate. But then when they switched to the partially insured and clinic model, their increases went up 1.67% a year. Okay? So if you go to the next slide, this is what would happen with us. So you see for 12-13 and 13-14, those are actuals. That's our actual health care costs that we pay. And what we did was we used the percentage decrease that Titusville experienced when they first opened the clinic, and we applied that percentage to this model. And then we applied the percentage increase they experience each year now to what we would, experience every year after we switch over. And then we used a 5% increase for fully insured as well. So you can see that by 17 and 18, we will be well over $1 million. Right now, we're in the 900,000s. Once we get the clinic started, provided that it's as popular here as it was in Titusville or is in Titusville, many of the employees embraced the clinic there and really used it, which brought down their claims substantially. And we hope that happens here. So if that happens here, then what we would look at is a drastically reduced percentage increase every year. Okay? So to get started on this, we have asked our Gearing Group to begin negotiating a 90-day extension on our contract because we are looking at a January 1st opening date, provided council approve this concept for the clinic. And we have met with Rush Construction, which is Parish Medical's construction group, and we've met at the Teen Zone to start talking about the build-out and what it would take, and this and that. And then we also wanted to work with the Police Athletic League to renovate the other side because they are losing space. So we wanted to reorganize their space to lessen the impact on their operations. So what I'm asking for you tonight is to conceptually approve the employee health clinic model for the medical doctor. The reason why we're choosing the medical doctor is because that's what Titusville did. We felt in Titusville, as I feel now, having the medical doctor is crucial to get people to leave their general physician to come to the clinic. Because that's what you want people to do. You want them to switch doctors, basically, which is hard to do with some people. They love their doctors. So to get them to switch, you have to provide another doctor and not just a nurse practitioner. Even though I love nurse practitioners, here I think the doctor is very important. Secondly, we're asking you to approve the interlocal agreement with Parish Medical Center to begin the feasibility analysis. And this feasibility analysis will come at no cost to us. So that first tier of services that they're in this agreement is at no cost. And that's the only thing that we would recommend doing right now. The second tier of services that are in this contract are actually what we already get from Garing Group, so we wouldn't need that tier of services. Okay. And then we would ask you to provide direction to us to work with the Police Athletic League to create a renovation plan and budget for City Council's approval to complete their side. So that's what we're asking for you.
You're basically looking for two motions. One to approve the conceptual clinic with the doctor. The other motion would be to approve the interlocal agreement. And then direction on PAL. Would that be a motion or would that just be consensus?
I think you just consensus for that.
Okay.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve all three of the recommended actions.
Okay, we have a motion to approve all three of the recommended actions, which include the approval of a conceptual plan with a doctor clinic and to approve the interlocal agreement and provide direction for the build-out of PAL. The motion was made by Councilwoman Gott.
Second.
I have a second by Councilman Osmer.
And when you say provide direction to staff, you're really saying direct staff to do this, isn't it?
Yes. Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions for Council?
Courtney, I was going to call you on this earlier. I just didn't get to. Regarding this clinic under the physician model, what types of illnesses or problems is a physician going to be addressed to work on?
It would, just like any regular general physician.
General practice?
Family general practice,
Okay.
yes. And they can, they would be able to treat any children over 5.
Okay, so it had the pediatric aspect to it, too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that going to be covered by family practice docs, or are we looking at an EMS model with the emergency room docs covering this?
No, it's just family practice.
Okay.
So if they came in with a broken arm, they'd have to go to the emergency room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hours of operation and that sort of thing, what's this usually run?
This would be a regular full-day clinic so far. Unless we don't get the use right away, they may scale the hours down.
Okay. Workers' comp with this, too?
Yes. So all of our, that's a good point, and I'm glad you mentioned that. All of our current workers' comp, fire department physicals, police department physicals, all of those things would go through the clinic. So we would not have to contract that out anymore.
What about, if this is a single physician doing this, what about after-hours coverage? Is that a possibility, or how does that work? Something happens at 7 o'clock at night?
No.
That means go to the hospital?
Yeah, or, urgent care,
Okay. All right.
I visited the clinic in Titusville with Courtney shortly after I got back on council, and the system up there works great. They have a pharmacy there. Will we have a pharmacy?
Actually, we wouldn't need that. Parish Medical, that doctor would be able to dispense, the doctor would dispense. So any generic drugs would be free to the employee. So any, blood pressure medications, anything like that would be dispensed directly at the site.
And that was pretty much the way it was up in Titusville, too. And, I think initially from and we were with the doctor, we spoke with him, and he was kind of going through the program with us. And it started out initially a little bit slow, but once the people became comfortable with what was going on, the program up there has worked great.
So it's kind of a doc in the box,
It's
walk-in medical clinic
like,
type thing?
the city's doctor. I mean, he's there 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. They actually had different hours for the Titusville employees because that clinic was set up for Titusville and Parish Medical Center because they're right there together. And the first 2 hours of the day were specific for Titusville employees. So if you had, an issue, you had the first 2 hours of that doctor's time. So,
And the best thing is all the appointments are scattered at 20 minutes per appointment, and there is no wait. I mean, I never waited when I was in Titusville, never. You just walked right in. And you're able to schedule your appointments online through a website.
Yeah, it really, the program up there works great. And Parrish set it up. George Melconian was the speaker at the April League of Cities meeting, and he is with Parrish. He is pushing this program throughout the state of Florida, and they are doing this in other areas of the country, and they're instrumental in making this program happen. It's kind of like when Don gets up here and talks about the programs that our fire department is doing, and other communities are looking at it and wanting these same things. That's exactly what's happening with Parrish Medical Center, because they are a public hospital, and other public hospitals in the United States are looking at these programs going, this could work. This could work to help us with the same costs that they've just deflated in their city. So, it's a great program.
One last question, because this is often a big one, is what happens with labs? How are labs handled? Because, blood draws and all that can get really expensive.
We were actually deciding that, whether or not we would provide that service there. So that's still up in the air. We could do that if we wanted to provide that, and we were also still batting around whether we want to provide x-rays or not.
Okay.
I think the x-ray part of it will depend on the cost of the improvements necessary to do that.
Right. And then, like I said, lab can be huge. That can be a big expense.
And it's just the convenience, too. I mean, having to drive all the way to Quest is really annoying.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That's all I
This time I'll open up agenda item number 12 for public comment.
Ron Jagutis, resident Satellite Beach. We have, first of all, with the Recreation Center, we have an interlocal agreement. Does this meet the test of the interlocal agreement with the county and the city to have an exclusive area designated specifically for one specific group?
We own the Schechter Center. The county, we have no interlocal agreement with the county on the Schechter Center. Satellite Beach owns the center.
So it's 100% owned now?
100%. It
always has been.
Always has.
So there's no agreement in regards to what they funded originally. The county matched funds. There's no agreement as far as having access for people over there with county residents, children, recreation. It's not, there's no designation issues. I'll accept it. I will accept that, if that is the case. It'll be interesting to see what the cost of this program is for the city. I hope the study, it probably will present certain things that I'm concerned about from a cost analysis. But also look at the fact that residents have had an increase in taxes for stormwater, have had an increase in utility taxes, and now citizens are going to have a potential takeaway from current revenues for other municipal items, and/or a statement that we can't meet other goals. And it'll be interesting to see the savings. However, seems to me there's going to be a lot of money spent here, and I'm curious to see how this report is going to delve out as far as cost of the program versus the increase in costs. And projections are only as good as they are, especially in healthcare. In healthcare, it was said the costs would be reduced. They're not reduced. They keep escalating up. And there was one more thought I was going to throw out, but I'll defer that thought till the report comes out.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Dale Abrams, resident of the CRA. Will the employees still be on Cigna health insurance going forward?
They'll be on a health insurance plan, so I
But
don't know.
currently, they're on Cigna right now, correct?
Yeah.
So that could change in the fall when our contractual agreement is up, which I'm assuming that you're going to go out for bid. Okay. Will citizens be able to go to this facility?
No.
No. Why?
We don't provide health care to citizens, we provide health care to our employees because we're required to by the Affordable Care Act, so that's what we do.
Okay, and then you talked about health insurance costs. There is no guarantee as far as what they're going to go up to in the future as far as health insurance costs and health insurance premiums. Okay, with the Affordable Care Act, everybody's getting hit. So, you know, I don't know what your numbers are, but I don't think 5% is, it could, what are you going to do if the costs go up regarding the premiums for your employees, okay? And then you have this facility for them. And you had stated that they would not have a copay, correct? They would walk in there and not have a copay?
Let's address things one at a
Okay.
time, because you start on like 5 questions.
All right.
Okay. The first thing you mentioned was, the health care plan. And yes, we would still have a health care plan, but it's not going through a typical fully insured model. It'll be partially insured, meaning the city will pay the claims ourselves, not an insurance company. So the savings are when we have for example, if we have $1 million insurance bill. If we only have $700,000 in claims that year, the insurance company gets to keep that $300,000 savings. In a partially insured model, we keep those savings. So, and then in a partially insured model, we carry stop-loss insurance to minimize the risk for a large claim or a large series of claims. So that's a different model. It's a whole different way of doing things. So insurance costs, I agree, they are going up very exponentially in terms of percentages. I used a 5% to be conservative, so they may go up 8%. If that's the case, then what we're presenting just shows even that we're saving even more going to a partially insured model with a health care clinic. With regard to the health care clinic itself, the idea is to provide that service to our employees at no cost and reduce the claims on the insurance side. So we basically reduce claims to expensive doctors that cost $500-600 a visit, and instead transfer those claims to a clinic that's much cheaper to operate for us than paying those claims.
So would this cover like the yearly well checkup that
Yes.
They are encouraging you to do? Is this like a health savings account regarding the employees? Is
No.
it? No, nothing like that? What if the employees choose not to go there?
Some may.
That's their option,
Yes,
though,
that's their
correct?
option, yeah.
Which means if they choose not to go there and they go to the doctor that they really love,
Right.
then they're going to have to pay the copay.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. And you did say that you're not sure whether they're going to be dispensing medication?
Oh, I know we will be dispensing generic medication at that facility.
In the facility, you
Yes,
will
ma'am.
have drugs in there?
That's correct.
Okay, is there I mean, do you have to go through state guidelines as far as opening up this facility?
Your time was up
All
a
right,
long
I'm just
time ago.
asking
This
questions.
isn't really supposed to be an exchange of.
It's
10, 15
operated
minutes.
by Parish Medical Center, which is a hospital, so I'm pretty sure they understand the guidelines behind dispensing medication.
They take all the liability.
Any other public comments? I'm going to close public comments now, and Lenore, if you would, take the roll.
Councilman Breimer?
Go ahead, Mark.
Courtney, the only thing I would say, and again, I'm just going to go back to this, I think if you can, going forward, get a handle on how this labs is going to be, because some physicians will order a lab on everybody that walks through the door, and some of them will just make the diagnosis or try to make the diagnosis without that lab, but labs could eat us up.
Okay.
Or eat up whoever's involved in this, so that's just my only concern I have, but I support it, and let's vote, I'm fine.
Go ahead, Lenore.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilman Osborne?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gott? Yes. Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes. Item number 13 is discuss and take action on archive social media software.
I'll second that.
Okay, take a 10-minute break, it's 10 minutes to 9, or 10 minutes, yep, it's 10 minutes to 9. We'll convene at 9 o'clock.
Can you believe it's already 9?
So we're at agenda item number 13, archive social media software. Courtney.
Thank you. Lenore, did you want to take this, or do you want me to do it?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
I'll do it. We had Archive Social reach out to the city. They have a software package where it's on a cloud-based system, and both Courtney and I did webinars on this to kind of see how their software system works, how they maintain the records. As you know, Chapter 119, we're responsible for that. And with social media, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, we have an obligation to make sure our records are maintained. And with that being said, I also looked at their references, and we made calls, placing out to the sheriff's office, to different municipalities, and everybody was very, very happy with their services that they provide. Their customer service, their response time was very quick. We would have 10 accounts that could be placed for different departments, and for records management purposes, if I were to have a records request, I could go and obtain that information. We would have redaction for like sensitive material like the police department and the fire department. I feel very, very comfortable with this company. We also did a comparison analysis on different software packages elsewhere, and we had Backify, which was $99 a month. They did social media accounts of 10 with 50 gigabytes of storage. Also a smaller company. They in no way, shape, or form would provide the amount of detail that Archive Social would do, as well as Smarsh. Implementing their implementation fee is $10,000 with 100 gigabytes. Training webinars is 10, and they would provide a 24/7 customer service support. Page Freezer, we did try to identify their cost analysis. They couldn't give it to us quickly enough, and they were going to set us up with 10 accounts. So with that being said, I think collectively you've got a lot of municipalities. You've got, again, police departments throughout the state of Florida. And I can't say enough really good comments on the staff members and their providing input. So with that being said, I would ask for council's consideration of moving forward with this. Courtney, I don't know if you
And I would just add, just so you understand logistically, this company basically would capture everything that we put in Facebook and any other accounts that we have. We have currently 5 Facebook accounts right now. So if somebody came in and said, I want all of your Facebook messages or posts that have to do with police activity. Right now, we would have to send that request out to each individual department, and we'd have to go through physically down the list of all of our social media post that is now going into year 3 for some of us, and pick those out ourselves. In this instance, this company does that for you, and Lenore never has to contact any of the departments. She just contacts the company to do that. The second thing is that they capture everything, and so even if, like, let's say somebody comes in, a new employee comes to the PD, and they're placed in charge of the media account, and then they accidentally delete 10 items, that this company's already captured it, so we don't get in trouble that way. So that's the other good thing. And speaking with Sheriff's Department, they love it. They use it constantly, so they get a lot of public records requests, and I see that happening quite a bit with my page and then with the police department's page in the future. If anything controversial comes through, people will start asking, and I think this is timely, and Lenore did a good job in researching, a good group to do this for us, so.
I would point out, too, Adam is available. I did provide him with the questionnaire with all of the information, and I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Adam? You're good? Okay, just making sure.
Any questions from council?
I heard you mention that. I'm assuming that, obviously, I don't think we need 24/7 service. I don't think no one's getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning to go fill out a public's record request. I would be hoping. On the other hand, it is important that it is easy to get the information. So I'm assuming that is something that's relatively easy. Like
Yes.
you were saying, it's just a
You
phone
have
call
login
away.
accounts, and there's secure parameters on it as well.
I mean, that's really, I think, the most important thing is staff is time is money, and obviously, what you just announced, I would certainly want somebody sitting around for 4 hours trying to come up with a specific post when you could make a phone call or log on it and do that. That, to me, I think return on investment will pay for itself in the long run, especially, as you said, if we get something controversial and someone comes and asks for every post to Facebook we've done in the last 3 years, that would be awful time consuming for us to come up with. So I think it would be a benefit in the end, and if they said if it works as advertised, I'd be all for that.
Mark, anything?
We don't have the actual agreement here, do we?
No, not at this time. Do you want to review it? It's just a contractual agreement to the
It's just
council.
like a contractual agreement. Normally, I would sign those.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, because it's a service agreement. We can terminate it in 30 days if we wanted to,
But how do we decide which agreements we review and which we don't?
Small service agreements that we can terminate pretty quickly.
It's it's only a one type of agreement that they use for all sheriffs, municipalities, and so forth. So if you're wanting to review it, we can bring this.
Yeah, we can bring it back to
at the
council.
next meeting if you'd like. Their quote is going to last, if we were to turn around and try to do July 1. So this fee rate will go up July 1. So I'm trying to get it underneath that window, so we're saving the city money.
Okay, then I'll move to authorize the city manager to sign an agreement between the city and Archive Social to maintain the city's social media records.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Gott.
Second.
Second by Councilman Osmer. At this time, I'll open it up for public comment. Item number 13.
Gabe Fine, citizen. I want to know where the server is going to be.
In the cloud.
And, pardon me? And I want to know if the city employees will be allowed to use more than one handheld thingy to communicate with each other. And who will have the authority to delete stuff from the server?
Nobody.
Oh, okay, I just want to make sure that we don't have a situation where we start deleting stuff that should not be deleted. Thank you.
Thanks, Gabe. Any other citizen comments? Okay, I'll bring it back to council. Lenore, would you take the vote, please?
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gott?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes, the motion passes unanimous 4-0. Okay, let's move to item number 14, the evaluation of the city manager.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I have included, as I did last year, all of the evaluations for my annual evaluation, and I've met with some of you. I did kind of include in your packet an overview of our accomplishments for the year. Certainly, it's not an exhaustive list, but it's kind of a highlight of some of our major items. I know that part of my job as a city manager is to understand and empathize with how tired you are at this late at night, so I'm not going to go through it. And I'll just leave it at, I just want to say thank you, and without your all's cooperation, and it's nice to have a council with a shared vision, it really is. You, and as well as our employees and the residents that help me every day, you know, you all make my job so easy, so I really appreciate it.
Any comments?
I have comments.
I figured you would.
I made some notes here.
Okay.
It's customary to review a city manager's salary at certain milestones, whether it's at 6 months, whether it's at a year, or whether it's at a time of evaluation. Ms. Barker has completed now more than 2 years with us, and we've never reviewed her salary. So that prompted me to get some data from Colin Benziger. We all remember him. He has a document called the Florida 2015 City Manager Survey, and included in that survey are 7 Brevard municipalities, including the 3 cities that have populations comparable to Satellite Beach. So for comparison purposes, the cities we should be comparing are Cocoa Beach, Satellite Beach, Cape Canaveral, and Indian Harbor Beach. Now, Cocoa Beach has a population of a little over 11,000. We have a population of a little over 10,000. Cape Canaveral has a population of almost 10,000. And Indian Harbor Beach has a population of little under 9,000. These are all very nice cities, and this is not to take anything away from them, but they don't provide, some of them don't provide all of the services that our city provides, such as police or paid fire department. And not one of them matches the degree, the complexity, or the sophistication of Satellite Beach's operations. And just as an example of what I'm talking about that makes Satellite Beach different is our ongoing working relationship with Patrick Air Force Base, our paid fire department with the first advanced life support system in the county, a new community paramedic program, our CFAL program, Communities for a Lifetime. We are also a regional recreation provider with our sports and recreation park. We are heavily invested in environmental land preservation on the river and the ocean, and we are a leader in stormwater projects to help restore the lagoon. In addition to overseeing all of those special aspects of Satellite Beach, Ms. Barker has also numerous remarkable achievements that are directly attributable to her leadership. Just the highlights include things such as the fact that she has restored our city's excellent reputation with other entities, including Florida Today, restored employee morale, and ended the controversies that were consuming our city. She built city reserves from the zero balance she inherited to over $1 million by the end of this fiscal year. She initiated steps to establish Satellite Beach as a leader in community resiliency and has become a sought-after speaker in Florida and other states on this issue. She gave new life to our moribund redevelopment district. She initiated steps to find a solution for the vacant 100 acres at the north end of our city. She's helping to create a multi-city employees health clinic. And she's reestablished badly needed long-range planning for capital assets and infrastructure improvements, and all of this in just 2 years. Even though Ms. Barker is leading the most operationally diverse city in Brevard County, the city manager survey shows that her salary is the lowest of the 4 comparable cities. Cape Canaveral pays their city manager $125,000. Cocoa Beach is 131,500 rounded number. And Indian Harbor Beach pays their city manager $115,000. The advertisement for her position showed a starting salary range of $100,000 to $130,000. We are paying Ms. Barker $105,000 with no increase or salary review since we hired her. This is a fairness issue, not a longevity issue. To those who would argue that she's been a city manager for only 2 years, I would argue this. Look at the results she's produced. From the day she began, she has consistently performed as a highly experienced, seasoned city manager with sound judgment and an extensive professional network. And it's worth noting that Cocoa Beach's city manager has the same 2 years of experience, and he's making $131,000. Mr. Benzinger's data show the following average salaries according to population. There are 42 cities in Florida with a population range from 5,000 to 10,000, and the average city manager salary in that group is $116,177. There are 46 cities in Florida that have a population of 10,000 to 20,000, and the average salary for that group, population group, is $128,799. I think it's clear that we are not compensating our city manager fairly, and so the question becomes, how do we decide what the appropriate number is? We could pick some arbitrary number, but I chose to use this approach. Since Satellite Beach's population is at the low end of the second category, the 10,000 to 20,000 population group, I believe that averaging the two salary amounts for those two population groups would avoid arbitrariness and provide fair compensation for an outstanding Satellite Beach city manager. And that average is $122,488. Accordingly, I would like to make a motion that we increase Ms. Barker's annual salary to $122,500, effective on her anniversary date, which was April the 15th. The additional funds would come from unspent operational funds in line items that have been performing under budget when we make that adjustment at the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilwoman Gott to raise the salary of the city manager to $122,000, $122,500. Do I hear a second? The motion dies for lack of a second. Would you like to?
Then what do we do?
Okay. Can I go first?
Sure.
Okay, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that with the data that you've given, Lorraine, is right on. I agree with you. Last year, Courtney took it on the chin and didn't take any raise at all. I remember that very clearly. And I thought that was a noble thing to do. And one of the reasons that you weren't doing that was because nobody else was either. If I'm a public works employee and I hear this kind of an increase, I think it's going to have a devastating effect on the morale of the employees in the city. But, you know, I kind of, one of the things I pushed for is what are we going to do for the employees to get them up to, because many of them have not had a raise either. And they're going to hear that this is a 20% increase basically in salary. And I'm just concerned about that, Courtney, because we've got to take care of these other people. I mean, we've got firemen and all that sort of thing that haven't had raises, and they're actually working for less than they could if they went someplace else. So I don't want to put you this is just my opinion, in a position where, look what the city manager got, and the other folks are not getting anything this year. So it's been my concern. And then you got Andy, it's been your backup guy along the way, and the whole thing. I want to be careful with that. So I don't disagree with your numbers at all, right? I'm just concerned about the message it'll send to everybody below her who hasn't had a raise in a long time either. So I'll stop talking at that point.
May I respond? The city manager is a contract employee, and they fall into a different category from our other employees. They don't have the job security that other employees have, and they also are supposed to be making considerably more money than the other employees. There's only a $9,000 difference between what we're paying our assistant city manager and what we're paying our city manager, and I am told that that is a tremendous shortcoming in city manager compensation. And I'm certainly not suggesting that we reduce Andy's pay. And I agree with you that providing raises for our employees is very important. And I have talked to Ms. Barker about this, and when the budget comes out, there are going to be proposed salary increases, and it will take us time to get where we want to be with employee compensation for everybody, but I don't think that the right approach is to undercompensate an outstanding performer who is at the top of the management rank in order to be in sympathy with other salaries. So I think that we're not eliminating, I don't think that we are creating a wrong, and believe me, I thought about that. My first thought when I started looking at this, what will the employees think? And I think that fair-minded employees are going to understand that the city manager has performed really well, has done a lot to help them perform their jobs, is very much interested in their well-being as employees, and fully intends to continue to push to give salary increases to all of our employees. But we can start now and compensate her the way she should be compensated. Her performance, by any standard, has been extraordinary. I used to think of her as our new city manager. I think of her now as our city manager. She never missed a beat. She walked in, she sat down, and she knew it. She knew it. And she's done so much to help the reputation of this city and to eliminate problems that you all know are just festering. And they're gone now. And that deserves compensation. And I think that at evaluation time, again, keeping in mind that city managers are handled differently from the rest of the employees because they're at-will employees on a contract. So that's...
I would say I don't deny her performance at all. I think that has been nothing short of spectacular for the whole part. My issue, if you want to call it an issue, is, you know, every time a department head wants to come in there with a capital asset, or every time someone wants to come in there with money, they bring with them a report, their statistics, their paperwork, where it's coming from the budget, and all those type of items when they present that to us, so that we have it, we review it, we know where it's coming out of the budget, and so on. That is kind of my only issue with this. I would say, I don't say that we know she doesn't deserve it. What I would like to see is exactly what you just had, all those statistics, all those facts, all those figures, the reasons, what for and why, effects from the budget and all that type of stuff, so that I had time to review it, digest it, take it all in, and as I would say, make an informed decision. I just feel at this moment, because it's kind of coming at me at the fly, that I would just like to have some more time to really, as you did. I appreciate what you did. You put a lot of thought, you did a lot of checking, a lot of research, and a lot of evaluation into that, and I think that's great. I think basically what I'm saying is, I'd like to get in on that research and what you put out there so that I could review that and see that, so that, again, when I make that decision, as although we're making it as a council, we are representing the citizens here that comes out of our budget. I want to make sure that I can say I thoroughly examined, look at the facts, I saw that it was deserving, it was the right thing to do, and say that confidently with all the facts in my pocket. That's kind of where I'm coming from. Like I said, I don't deny anything that you said, and I don't deny anything about her performance. I have nothing but good things to say about all that. I just don't like to make that decision, as I say, on the fly. I would like to make it so I feel comfortable with it.
Want to put it on the next agenda?
I would be okay with that.
And I would, I'll put it this way. We're going to put it on the next agenda, Gabe, for the meeting. And I would just like to say this. You mentioned the things that Courtney has done in our city, and, I know she has done extraordinary things to keep us moving in the right direction. And I'm very confident that we're going to continue moving that way. But it's just not Satellite Beach that she's been doing these things for. Mm-hmm. I go to the League of Cities meetings. She is there advocating for every other city in Brevard County. They come to her making requests for her to sit on these different boards, to vet information to them. They're using her as a resource also. So we have an extraordinary individual in our city manager's seat. And I think she deserves what's being proposed. And I understand your concerns, and I agree that we probably should see exactly where it's going to come from and how we're going to do it. And I would also want us to look at making a commitment to our employees that we are definitely going to do something to make sure that they are included in this next budget session.
And I just to follow up on that, I mean, I'm sure each of you have, but I have heard from city employees that they're really hoping that something's going to come through for them. And, if Courtney can lend us some ideas or some knowledge as to what's going to go in that direction, just as you're doing the budget with, working with Andy and that sort of thing as we're moving forward. I totally want to support you. I just don't want to, I could name off names of people that I've talked with that are really looking for some extra money, because they've just taken it on the chin like you did and have been for a long, long time. And they're concerned as to how it's going to move forward. So I think, you've created a team, and I just want to make sure we take care of the whole team. That's the main thing.
And that was the other thing that I was going to say also. The same way that I, used the examples of the police and fire chief, surrounding themselves with good people. You've done the same thing, and, we just need to figure out how we're going to do this. If we can see where, we're looking at taking the money from, what we're looking at doing for the employees, and at least they have some idea of where we're going as a council. I'm comfortable with it all.
And if I don't mind, I would like, I said that information I think I find very helpful, and I would really like that. I would just like to make one last comment is, being that I work out there in the private sector, it is unfair to you in a way that you have to speak about somebody's salary in public, because in the private world, you don't talk about what everybody makes. I don't discuss that with other managers in my company. My employees don't know what I make. It's just one of those things. It's an unfair thing, I think, in a way, because we have to put you in a spotlight and everybody has to talk about your salary out there in the public, which is not done in the private world, which then it can be done fairly and honestly without such critique.
And as a part of that, I mean, one of the things we've also, I know Courtney ran that study, was the salary survey, where everybody should be and where we need to make those changes. I think if we can look at it as a comprehensive thing, that we need to compensate the lady, but in a comprehensive manner through the rest of our city employees. We've got the salary survey. Let's take a look at what we can do.
Okay.
So it's across the board type
We
thing.
can have that as included as part of the packet when we get.
Can I just comment, though? We've already implemented the salary survey.
Okay.
So
I mean, I know there
every
was-
employee in the city is at the minimum now.
At the minimum.
So all employees were raised at this budget year that we're in right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So for the budget, it depends on the, valuations, but, which we have not received yet. But we are looking at building in a 2 to 3% increase. And then I have a request from the unions to start looking at compression and how to, so we're working on the methodology to address that. But the likelihood that we can afford to implement a full compression, strategy in 1 year is pretty slim. We'll probably have to spread it out over a couple years or 3, but that is being worked on now.
And I'll go as far as to say, if we've got revenue that we can put towards salaries in an equitable way, I think that's what this budget year ought to really reflect more than anything else. I mean, we're on track with capital assets and the stormwater and all that stuff. This could be the year of the employee, for lack of better words, and the city manager. I'm committed to that. If whatever numbers you guys can work on to make this work, let's do it, okay? Catch everybody up. That's my thought anyhow.
We've been telling them that we were going to eventually get to this and do this for them.
Yeah.
And I think we're in a position right now where, property values are going up. I think we're going to see some increased revenue in the city, and I think we can make all of this happen. So let's try.
That's something you can pull together, Courtney? Or Lorraine, or both of you, either way.
I'll have something for the packet.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, we can pull together a funding source for my increase because it's it's $1 amount. And it's, nothing compared to the dollar amount for the whole city. So we can't really give you a budget yet, because we're waiting on the valuations until, the employee costs are the highest cost. So until we get the valuations, it's hard to tell you what increase is going to happen, and we're still working on the strategy for compression. So until we get the budget done and on the table, it's going to be difficult to tell you exactly what we're going to be able to do. And then we have to go through negotiations as well. So, but we are planning on at least a 2% increase across the board for the employees.
Okay. And I remember the union held off when the economy went in the tank. The union deliberately held off on pushing for any increases. I remember that very well.
And fire actually told me that their priority right now is compression. So,
okay.
And we've said that from the beginning that we provided the 3% the first year I was here. The second year we did the minimum increase, bringing everybody to the minimum. And then the next issue is compression. So that's what we're working on this year.
So I think what we just said is we'll put this on the agenda for the next meeting.
And just so we've got it all in front of us, Lorraine, the whole concept, I think that would be increase the comfort level for at least me anyhow.
Okay.
So move to accept the city manager's annual evaluations.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Gott and a second by Councilman Breimer to accept the evaluations of the city manager. I'll open this up for public comment at this time.
I'll try to make it short. 3 points. Number one, I personally have noticed the morale of our employees everywhere, police department, fire department, public works, etc. Recreational department. Most of our departments do more with less. We have been for a while. Point number two, Mother's Day I was out for dinner, ran into a couple that's only been living in Satellite Beach about 6 months. The main topic of conversation once we decided where we knew each other from was what an outstanding city manager we had. I didn't start the conversation, the newbies did. Lastly, torn between Councilwoman Lorraine and Councilman Breimer, etc. Personally, even with the current economy supposedly improving, private industry right now is not giving that big of pay raises. 3% is about norm. I think a 20% increase would not go over well with, and that's the number you came up with, I lost the numbers, but would not go well with our constituents. However, I believe that a compromise can be had with maybe a 10% increase. And believe me, having come to all these meetings and having to see how prepared our city manager is with the assault from a minority group of our citizens who are never satisfied, and being able to be prepared and answer all those questions. All of you, of course, are involved in that. I'm glad you're tabling it. I'm glad you're going to come up next meeting. But I do want every one of you, including Frank, when he gets back, I'm sure you guys will fill him in, to consider the outstanding, extraordinary job that Courtney has done. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay, we'll close public comments at this time and bring it back for a vote. Lenore?
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gott? Yes. Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes, the motion passes 4-0. Okay, we are moving on to agenda item.
Thank you, Courtney.
Yes, most definitely. Agenda item number 15, regular agenda for the next meeting. If anyone has anything they need to add to the agenda or would like to, please see Courtney. That meeting is going to be canceled. It's not going to be June 3rd. It's going to be June 17th. So I'm sure there'll be more items on the agenda, including the information we just asked for. Number 16, appointment adjustment for the library board. Lenore?
I had asked for the director of the library, Nancy Grout, to provide me an updated information, and her administrative assistant, Laura Russell, did indicate that the board vetted the information concerning the city board handbook, and I did provide them with your requested direction to find out which Satellite Beach member could move up and which Indian Harbor Beach resident would move down to the alternate position. And in the memo you have that they requested that Hope Asher would move down to the alternate position, and Carol Robichek graciously accepted that if council deems it, that she would be put into a regular position on the library board.
I guess we need a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion from Councilman Breimer.
Second.
Second by Councilman Osmer to move Hope Asher into an alternate position ending 8/15/16, and moving Carol Robichek to a primary member to fill Hope Asher's term ending 1/2017. I'll open this agenda item up for public comment. Hearing none, bring it back to council. Any other comments? Lenore?
Councilwoman Gott? Yes. Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes, motion passes 4-0. And we are coming up to item number 17, approval of the minutes.
Move to adopt the May 6th minutes of the workshop meeting and the regular meeting as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Gott, seconded by Councilman Osmer, to approve the workshop and the regular meeting from May 6th. Any public comment? Hearing none, bring it back to council. Any other comments? Lenore?
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilman Osmer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Gott? Yes. Vice Mayor Montanaro?
Yes, motion passes 4-0. I believe that's our agenda, and any other items anybody needs to talk about before we leave?
Yeah, belated happy birthday to Mr. Beadle.
Belated happy birthday,
The
Jim.
big 6-0.
And I've been informed that today is the mayor's birthday, too. Yes. So, we know where he is. Anyway, happy birthday, Frank. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.